If you think about being put on a pedestal, it can go from people admiring qualities that you possess to you coming across as, like a know-it-all, or you being someone that's condescending or looking down on people or whatever it may be. And these are just ideals that other people have of you. You're just existing. You're just literally simply being you. And if you're someone that wants to just be able to exist, as I speak about a lot, and you're somebody that strives to be equal. I know everyone's different, but you actually want to see the people in your life that you love or care for as your equal. It's a lot of pressure to feel like they don't see you as an equal.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? And it's not a role that you've auditioned for or asked for.
Hi souls, I'm Ali.
And I'm Ebz, and welcome to the Divine Soliloquy podcast, where we share with you a higher level of thought consciousness from our own personal perspectives.
This is a safe space to join us as we vibrate in and out of banter and soulful conversations.
Has anyone put you on a pedestal before?
What, do you know what? It sounds so conceited. Like the way you asked me that question is so annoying. Probably. I can't say for sure because I'm me. So I can't speak for others. People, but I can say that I've felt like there have been high, sometimes unrealistic expectations for me to be or behave or act a certain way because of how I'm viewed or where people view me or where they put me in their life.
Okay, so like putting someone on a pedestal, does it necessarily depend on how they see you or how you've maneuvered or curated your persona?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that people don't just pluck expectations out of nowhere. Actually, let me take that back. They do. They do. I think that people will look at you and then perceive you in a certain way because I've had interactions with people where they've experienced only one or two facets of me and still expect me to behave in a certain way. Does that make sense? Like they haven't experienced me being the problem solver that I can be. They haven't experienced me being as communicative as I can be, because you have to allow someone to show you they have the tools to communicate. Yeah. So to still put me on a quote unquote pedestal would be however they perceive or whatever they've made up in their mind. But do I feel like I've been on a pedestal? Yes. And I say yes because of the reactions that I get when I don't live up to that expectation, or when what I call human moments, emote in a way that's not expected of me. The reception is like almost like your parent or your teacher or someone that you would hold in or consider holding high regard.
Disappointed.
Disappointed. Like, do you feel like in your life, I mean obviously we've had this conversation, but do you feel like you've been put on a pedestal as well?
Yeah, 100%. I think from early, to be honest with you. Yeah. From childhood, there were certain aspects of me, especially academically, that were expected of me. And there's nothing wrong with that because I have always been quite academic, naturally. So it's okay, but I do remember specifically when I was younger, there was like a set of exams that I had to do back home. And it wasn't just, and my mum will remember this, and I'm just being very candid with you guys, because this is I don't think I've ever spoken about this to my mum or my dad, but basically there's a set of exams you have to do in the Caribbean to get to secondary school, but a lot of the islands will have like scholarships if you do really, really well, and they have like tiered scholarships. And when I tell you, everybody not just in my family, in the village, had this expectation. I know that sounds really like
everybody in the village. Your people
had an expectation of 11-year-old me to get the highest scholarship prize. Yeah, it was too much. I didn't. But I ended up getting the second highest, which obviously is still not bad. But
sorry, no. Do you know what it is? It's just, I'm going to get into it probably. I'll probably speak about being conceited and how I view that and what that means.
I was buckled under the pressure. That's not me.
No, I know, but it's the way you said it. It's hilarious. You're just like, oh no, because they expected me to get the highest and I didn't have the second highest.
Imagine a child.
I know what you're saying.
I know, but I also want the people to deep this. Imagine you're 11 years old and people you don't know people you very rarely speak to are coming up to you in the street and are like, yeah, good luck on your exam today. We know you're going to do great. And don't get me wrong, like, yes, there was things in my life that I've been doing. I've been involved in so many different other academic groups and stuff like that where you would just assume that you're going to get the highest grade. But a lot of the times when you put that type of pressure on people, especially when they're children, they're not just allowed to just be. And like, I think a lot of people forgot that I'm just a child and a human.
Yeah, but I think that they didn't forget, and that's the reason why they were so, what they felt like was encouraging. Because they looked at you like, wow, she's 11, she's amazing. Do you know what I mean? Like, whoa, this 11-year-old is like top tier. And you performed. You could argue that the pressure was the reason why you were second. Obviously, they needed to apply more pressure.
No more pressure, please. No more pressure.
No, I'm an arsehole. Ignore me. No, that's something to be proud of.
But that just sets me up for me constantly being on a specific type of expectation. I'm not going to call it a pedestal because I am human, but throughout my life consistently there has been a certain expectation of me to be poised together, smart, articulate, don't come outside yourself, because if you do, like, that's not the persona we have of you. So
but even
what
you're saying about don't come outside yourself is just don't come outside of the perception that I have of you.
Exactly.
Don't display the facets that you tell me exist, and maybe I haven't experienced them, because this will segue actually a little bit, but it'll be very relevant. People genuinely want to be closer to you. They want to understand you. They want to love you, and so on and so forth. Okay. But they still want to love a version of you that they believe exists. So when you do come outside of that facet, or you climb off of the pedestal, so to speak, that they popped you on, it's like, no. This isn't what you're supposed to be doing. This isn't who I want to be close to. This isn't who I love. Yeah. You have to allow people.
You were.
Yeah, because it's basically, you have to allow people to exist outside of the person you know them to be, or you view them to be. That is how you build with people. Because think about a pedestal as like a hierarchy. A pedestal is actually not a good thing. If you think about being put on a pedestal, it can go from people admiring qualities that you possess to you coming across as, you know, like a know-it-all, or you being someone that's condescending or looking down on people or whatever it may be. And these are just ideals that other people have of you. You're just existing. You're just literally simply being you. And if you're someone that wants to just be able to exist, as I speak about a lot, and you're somebody that strives to be equal. I know everyone's different, but you actually want to see the people in your life that you love or care for as your equal. It's a lot of pressure to feel like they don't see you as an equal.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? And it's not a role that you've auditioned for or asked for. It's just a role that you play in your life.
Yeah, it's a role. We're all assigned roles in our lives, whether we want them or not. They're all assigned to us very early on, usually in childhood. Just depends on. I think it really does depend on the aura you give off, and on top of that, what you choose to put out there. And I think the biggest representation of putting people on a pedestal is celebrities. We 100% forget that celebrities are actually people. Now, there's definitely an element of you've curated a persona or an image, because a lot of people will have the celebrity them and then they will have the real them. And we know that, and we've known that for years. But for some reason, we still never really want to give them leeway, especially when they're put on a pedestal, especially when they're people who we have decided are aspirational, who we want to look up to, because a lot of people want that idea of you so that they know that it's possible. Yeah. And it's not. We are never going to be perfect. We are all flawed. There is no perfect person. So when you see your favourite celebrity doing some effed up shit and you're like, what the hell? You're just mad at yourself because you bought into perfection that doesn't exist.
Ooh. No, for real. Like,
should we just get into it?
Well,
yeah.
Let's speak about this.
Big Willie.
Sorry. Honestly, not on a church day. It's not a church day.
It's not
a church day. But no, with Will, if you guys aren't in the knowing,
where have you been? Honestly, literally, this is a moment where it's like, have you been living under a rock?
Because
Chris Rock. I am Doing a lot today.
Do a lot, baby. Because I'm just sitting here like chill. I've been in a very meditative space, guys. So I'm just like
really giddy today.
Chill. No, I'm here for it.
Really
I love it. But no, Will. So Oscars and all of the hullabaloo that took place at the Oscars with the walk and the slap and the reactions and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. That's what we're referring to. I have opinions on this, and I know that you have opinions on this. My opinion. Let me just get out of the way right now. I don't condone violence, physical violence, in any way, shape or form. I think that it's very, very wrong, and you should be able to use your words to conduct yourself and have some more self-control. However, no, but I mean, sometimes, and that's what I was going to get to, sometimes you can feel very, very pushed. And the reason why I say that, I don't know if you guys have been able to watch it, but I actually watched Will's documentary on his YouTube channel. Great channel. And this was a documentary. It started out as a weight loss journey, and he then started writing a book, and it just turned into something completely different. But it was very warming, and it was something that was very human. You really got to see him peel back layers of himself that we haven't typically seen before in this documentary. And some of the things that he said in this documentary, now I haven't read the book, but he did read and have table readings. So we got to hear a few chapters. And he was explaining about his military background and his dad, and his upbringing was, you know, very strict and whatever. Yeah. And I could be wrong. That's probably a lot of the reason why he went into comedy. And he's always pushed himself. You saw things like him climb the tallest building in the world. You know, what's it called in Dubai?
In Dubai? The
Khalifa, the Burj Khalifa. Yeah. And he didn't just climb it to the top. He went outside to get to the tip.
Oh, sure.
Because he was explaining, that's where his mind goes. That's when he genuinely feels like, so you itched your nose, so I itched my nose. That's where his mind goes, like he has to push himself to the limit. And we've seen him do extremes before. We've seen him like jump out of planes and
something. He was doing something else on Disney. So he went to, I think there's a show on Disney that he's got where he does things, and he finds black people who are doing extreme weird things. Not weird, but extreme things, like going to Antarctica and it's on Disney Plus. My mum loves it, and he's just doing a lot of stuff. I just think he's finding himself, and I love it.
He is, and he spoke about that. He spoke about wanting to exist. He really just wants to exist. So when I saw that happen, of course, it was like I had so many different conversations in my mind about it. I didn't get to speak to many people about it, but I thought, okay, so when you was walking up there, bro, like, you know, when you're thinking it was a good march, like
he blacked out.
It was an America's Next Top Model runway. Like you had a good amount of time to be like, let me just chill or change what I'm about to do. But as you said, it probably was a blackout moment, and he had tunnel vision. I know this is going to sound wild for me to say, but in that moment, I saw him just exist and just live. Yeah. Everything that you've heard him say up until this point, whether it's on the Red Table or on his YouTube channel, he was allowing himself to feel, and he's spoken so candidly about not allowing himself to feel. So for me, just for someone that has had my journey of breaking free from the shackles of expectation, it was such a moment of, I don't know what word to give it, but it was a beautiful moment to see someone exist. Was it something that was fantastic, the way he went about it? No, but as it pertains to growth and his personal journey, it must have been so freeing.
I 100% agree. There's so many facets to this anyway. Very nuanced conversation, and there's been a lot of conversations about this, but my immediate thing, the thing that I remember, I woke up, checked my phone, which I'm not really supposed to do, but checked my phone, and I just saw it, and I was like, first of all, I was like, is this fake?
Did you just reenact?
Yeah, and I was like, is that fake? And then I realised it wasn't fake, and I was like, all I literally thought, first thing was, oh, well, he finally snapped. And not in a way where it was like, oh, you did take it out on Chris Rock, and it wasn't to be taken out on Chris Rock. I do want to say that, by the way. I don't think it was fair that Chris Rock had to be the end of the snap. But unfortunately, sometimes you're just in the wrong place, wrong time. Okay.
Wrong joke.
Wrong joke.
Wrong joke.
It was a very distasteful joke anyway. And Chris Rock clearly has an issue with Jada because it's not the first time he's made jokes about her. So, but we move. You know, that's what comedians do, and that is their art. So Chris Rock, I don't necessarily even think he did anything wrong, and I also don't think Will did anything wrong. Chris Rock was just being a comedian, like many comedians before him. And I also want to say that Ricky Gervais. My gosh, did you watch when Ricky Gervais hosted the Oscars?
No.
Way worse. Way worse. Okay, if anyone wants, go and look at the footage on YouTube. Ricky Gervais's jokes were about every person in Hollywood, and it was so awkward because they were all in the room. So, like, Chris Rock's jokes were tame, but it just happened to be that Will was in a moment in his life where he is tired of having to show up in a way where everybody else will say, okay, thank you for continuing to be the image of perfection that we will probably never get to. That is essentially what that was. It was like people continuously want him to keep doing that, and he can't keep doing that. He's
not physically cried, but he's had cries about it. He's spoken about it. I will say that I do think he was wrong.
Oh, yeah. He shouldn't have slapped him.
I think that he was wrong. I just think that it was a beautiful moment of growth for him personally. I do actually think that he was wrong because arguably, going to be playing devil's advocate for my own point, you could say, okay, fine. So in my grown stage, when I just be snapping and just be AKing all over the place.
I don't think there's anything wrong with maybe not AKing.
Okay, that's extreme. But do you know what I mean? It's like, we should have that self-control. But Will's journey, and I really want to point this out, is actually the opposite from... Not everybody, people have their own personal journeys, but you hear a lot about the journeys of an individual that has been wayward and has to learn self-control, where he has been so controlled. So, of course, what does the opposite of that look like?
Yeah, exactly. So, high sense or no sense? My favourite. Alright, I've got one. So, I basically feel like animals are actually the smart ones.
Okay.
And the mic ears are really close to my face. Sorry. I feel like animals are the smart ones, essentially because the world. I'm always banging on about animals, aren't I?
Well, yeah. So, but you remember you said you don't want to be human. I feel like okay. So I know we're but she doesn't want to be human, guys. So I genuinely feel like
I don't identify as being.
Is your alter ego an animal?
Probably.
It must be.
I'll have to figure that out.
Okay.
But anyway, essentially, animals are smarter than us because they are the ones who just use what the earth has provided. Because they're just chilling out here living completely fine. It's only when we come and interrupt them that they start going extinct and start having problems and the sea's not healthy enough for the fishies to live in. Whose fault is that? It's not the fishies.
Well, animals are the victims of
our stupidity. Because we're out here thinking that there's more to life and we want more and we're, creating more and we're innovating more. And the animals are just looking at us like, you are idiots.
But hold on, what do you mean? We're thinking there's more to life? You saying there's more to life?
No, as in like trying to get more than what that's already here.
Okay, fine.
Like all these innovations, all these new technologies. Animals are just looking at us like, bro, like, you lot just don't, you're not happy with what this beautiful universe has provided? This God has provided? It's not enough for you? Alright, keep going. They're just looking at us like we're dickheads.
I think that they're looking at us like you're destroying something that was beautiful before you and your innovations came with your shit.
It was perfect.
Basically.
Everything you needed. It's right here.
We are disruptive as humans. I think we know that we're disruptive as humans.
Yeah. We're just annoying. If I was an animal, I'd be so annoyed by humans. Every time I see them.
Animals.
That's why they probably want to eat us every time they see us. It's like eat the
food chain, babes. They're supposed to want to eat us.
What level of the food chain are we? Are we at the top?
No, because we don't need to eat animals to survive, so we must be near the bottom. Because that's the food chain.
We do eat animals. We eat chickens.
We don't need them to survive.
We feel like we do. No one wants to be vegan anymore.
No, but we don't need them to survive. Like, we could survive without eating other animals, where there's other animals that need to eat other animals in order to survive.
But wouldn't it make sense that we're on the top of this? Is another high sense, no sense. Wouldn't it make sense that we're on the top of the food chain because we can capture all of these animals?
No, it would make sense that we're at the bottom of the food chain, and that's why we exert power.
You get it? Bombo on the smart.
But yeah. Alright, what's your one? Because I feel like mine made sense. Animals are smart and humans are dumb. That's mine.
Well, animals technically, I don't mean to go against you. Right?
That's fine, you can.
Technically, animals are resourceful.
Or they're just natural. They just know that they don't need to do extra shit.
Basically, they're humble and we're not.
They're just like, nigga, you've got everything you need. What more do you want?
We want self-service, self-checkout. Like, why should we scan an item when a robot can do it for you? We're just greedy.
But that's the thing. Even not even the self-checkout, the supermarket in general. Why are we buying food when if we just all had a good amount of land, we could just grow our own food? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just dumb.
Okay,
where the system is set up is dumb.
So
money, credit, technology, it's all stupid. To survive,
yeah, but
that shit.
Don't get me started on money because I have so many things. You know, we don't actually need to buy things to survive. I've seen Robin Hood. Do you not see them going around collecting the money to feed the rich, stealing from the poor? Those people had nothing. They were just hanging their clothes on the line. And then they came around.
Yeah,
so Robin had to come and save them. Which leads me on to, wasn't Robin Hood a fox?
What was he? Oh, he was a man.
Wasn't he an animal? Do I know?
Oh, you are, right?
No, Robin Hood was he an animal? In the cartoon, he wasn't a man.
Fox in the Hat?
Bro, I'm Googling it right now because I'm not.
I think you made me thinking of like there was a version of it that he was a fox.
I'm talking about the original. He was a fox, mother.
Right.
But Robin Hood is a fox. Okay.
Robin is a fox. Right.
Okay.
Cool.
So anyway, my high sense, guys, is I feel like, and follow me with this, I genuinely feel like I have an animal and it's fine. I have a cat. We love her. She may or may not show her face. Yeah. I feel like dinosaurs aren't extinct. I feel like that. I feel like when we have, okay, I know earthquakes are real, no one come for me, but I feel like sometimes it's not necessarily an earthquake, it's the dinosaurs doing the doing things. Do you know what I mean? I feel like also that foxes were the ones that didn't get to escape. Because remember, this all used to be wasteland, and that's how foxes were like, whatever. And I feel like they're the only ones that didn't get to escape, so they kind of like go back to the dinosaurs and be like, yeah, bro, it's not safe to come back here. No, for real. They're like, yeah, bro, it's not safe to come back there. They're still moving mad. And then, so basically, I'm saying that foxes are like the aliens of the animal world. They're the senouts.
Because you know what? They're around us a lot, you know.
The informers. Do you understand what I mean? And they come and they do what they need to do and then they go. Notice that they're out at night. But what they're doing in the day. Reporting.
No one knows, yeah.
They're reporting.
Oh.
I mean, they could be sleeping. There could be someone in the comments that will literally be like, hello.
And hello. Welcome, Chanel.
Honestly, I just feel like that's what it is. I really do feel like dinosaurs are doing what they're thumping. They might be raving, having a party. having a party, or laughing at us, thinking, you lot, we literally left you lot with the part of the land that we didn't want. That's what's happening.
That's why we're trying to make do. And trying to just have all of these innovations and build on ships. Let us know if any of this made sense.
If it made sense.
I think it made sense. But you know, when you just said that, people have lost control in way worse ways.
Well, yeah, I was gonna get there.
Right, like this is not even that bad of a thing that he has done.
But people recognise journeys to go that way around. They recognise it to be you're wild and then you mature and you grow up and then you have your journey. Not you've been so controlled and you're this cookie cutter of a person, and then God forbid you snap and it's like
what?
Yeah.
What?
Like, oh my gosh, you possess anger? You possess emotion? And it's like, yeah, and I think that's what it is. It's allowing people to free themselves from shackles. And in that moment, it's beautiful because you can tell he's on a journey because, yes, he apologized. Yes, he emoted. Yes, I genuinely, and I can't say because I'm not Will, but I believe he was sorry when he came back into self and realized, oh my gosh, I don't think it was an apology of let me save my career.
No.
I really think he was sorry. But he's also been tormented for his entire relationship. He's been told he's number 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just, you know, if Tupac was alive, she would be with you. We don't know if that's the case. No. Maybe that would be the case. Maybe it wouldn't. But at the end of the day, he's with and married to Jada.
Yes.
And that's not going to be nice for any husband, any man. Because when I was looking on Twitter, because, you know, I got Twitter now after umpteen million years. But anyway, when I was on Twitter, I like saying that. I'm on Twitter. But when I was on Twitter, I was like, okay, men, come on. I've seen men do some tomfoolery just because their woman is... They've done some
double standard.
Like, they've done some wild things. And I'm thinking, yo, bro, like, why are you living like that?
The hatred for Jada, and I get it. Listen, I'm not saying that she didn't do anything wrong.
My friend gets very passionate about Jada.
No, honestly, y'all need to stop. I'm going to need you not to stop, because the things that men do on a regular, everyday schmegular basis versus what Jada is doing in her marriage that her husband knows about and was clearly aware of before any of us, because they were both just like, "Rah, like, we already dealt with this shit. Now we got to come tell you lot. Why are you not so mad?" And it is, again, that idea that Will also was trying to put in everyone's head of this perfect marriage. How many people have referenced Will and Jada love in a song? I want that Will and Jada love. Now nobody don't want it anymore because it looks real. It looks closer to what you have than what actually looks like a perfect marriage. You don't want it anymore.
No, how are you going to say it looks closer to what you have? And you don't know you? You ain't got no money. You... Honestly, rude.
But it's true.
It is.
How long do you really think that people go through marriages with no type of effery happening and everyone's fine and cool and down? Did you really think people are that perfect?
No. Look, do you know how many Donnies are just like, oh yeah, I've known my husband has how many kids? Politicians are gay. Like,
give me one couple, one in the public eye that is perfect. Give me one.
I don't know. I am not in people's bedrooms, so I don't know what I've gone for people. What I do know is that it's unrealistic to think anyone in the world is perfect, so it's even more unrealistic to think there's such thing as a perfect relationship. So we need to strip this word of perfect, stop idolizing people that are trying to exist, and also understand that in a growing space, you need to give the people the same grace that you would like when you're growing, and say to yourself, actually, I did notice that I became a bit more whatever when I was growing. So for Will and Jada, that looks like vocal. They're just a lot more vocal because that's how they're feeling free. And you could argue that's what we're doing sitting here right now on this couch being vocal. It doesn't mean that we're not still learning. It doesn't mean that we know everything.
We're going to say some things that are going to be quote unquote wrong or going to piss people off, and that's just how the life goes.
That's how life goes anyway.
I said the life. That's how life goes. You know, there is never going to be a time where everyone is going to agree what you said or where everyone's going to even like who you are as a person. Will has consistently, and I will say this because anyone who knows me from like young will know I have always loved Will Smith. When I was watching Fresh Prince when I was young, I was like, that needs to be my husband. My husband needs to be exactly that. Like, I genuinely really like this man. And funnily enough, as I've gotten older and he's gone through all of this stuff, I like him even more.
He seems so authentic. Yeah. And I think that we're moving... I think we've always recognised Willard's... His name is Willard.
Oh, sorry.
But I'm giving him a whole name today. So I think we've always recognised Willard's authenticity. What he is adding to the cake batter is transparency.
Yes.
And what we're saying by not giving him grace whenever he, just exists as a human being, is saying we just preferred you when you were authentic. I don't want to see. Because those are the comments.
I don't want to see you. Quiet.
Yeah, because people are saying, I don't want to see you. I don't want to see you.
I don't want to hear that. Why not? Again, it looks like your life now, isn't it? So that's why you don't want to see it. No, I'm being serious though. Because Will is literally out here saying to people, you've followed me for so many years, and I love my followers and I love my fans, and I'm really sharing with you my personal journey, and you men are out here like, nah bro, just keep it quiet, keep that masculine energy where it needs to be in the closet, locked away.
But when you are, and we spoke about this all the time, when you are love, but really you can see that Will is love, he exudes love. And when you are that type of individual, people don't want to accept that you have other facets to you besides just coming across as whatever they recognize love to be. Love also was what he done in the action. The love that he has for his wife made him go into defense mode and made him act quote unquote out of character. That also is love. But because it meant, so what about the love that you're supposed to have for people, aka Chris, in that moment, and it wasn't channeled in the way that people recognize or like, that's the reason why he's gonna have his thing. And it was bad. It was bad for him to do. This is a space where we speak about a lot of growth and a growth journey. So I just want to make it clear again, for the 100th millionth time, we're saying it as it pertains to a journey itself. And sometimes a self journey doesn't always look very pretty.
No.
And that's a beautiful example of what it looks like when you are in a growing space and you have taken your shackles off the first time, you don't know what to do with them. Like if you really think about...
He's in baby stages, really. He's existed all his life in a stage of performative, like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Even though he seems like, I don't know the man, let's just be real, we don't know him.
You don't know him.
But
I know you.
He's
I don't know.
He showed up as himself, as a cookie cutter, husband, father, even celebrity. He's never really had that many scandals up until the last couple of years with his marriage. And even the rumours, they never spoke about.
But he, sorry to cut you, he did show up as himself. He's just showing you more facets of him.
Well, no, he did say on Red Table Talks that in the beginning stages of him and Jada's marriage, he wanted, it was about his ego. He wanted to portray the perfect father. He wanted to portray the perfect husband. On her birthday, I think one time he did this whole big thing where he like had a documentary and he had out a big like cinema and da-da-da. And she said, this is the most ridiculous display of your ego ever. And a lot of people were also mad at that Jada said that. But it's about like, in your relationship, are you loving me the way I want to be loved, or are you loving me the way you want to love me? And the latter is the selfish part. The latter is the ego part. And I think a lot of people will not see that because all they see is, but he's doing all these things for her. If you come to me with $5 million and I said all I wanted from you was to sit at home and watch a movie, whose fault is that I'm not excited about the $5 million?
You can come to me with both, actually. Because I'm okay with both of them.
No, obviously I'm okay with both of them.
I'm okay with both of them.
Lessons and that.
But no,
I'm just saying, like, if all I've been consistently asking you for is time, attention, and you're coming to me about, but babe, I've got 5 minutes. I'm gonna be like, I don't care.
When you get to a space in life where money isn't an issue, you do crave character.
Even if money isn't an issue, some people, i.e., if you are somebody who doesn't necessarily put money on a pedestal, you are going to value other things. And will put his persona, his public persona, in a light that was on a pedestal, so his marriage suffered as a result because he wasn't actually being authentic in the marriage, and he wasn't listening to his wife at the end of the day. He chose Jada. He knew who Jada was when he married her. That's another thing that pisses me off about people when they have these conversations. You know, acting like he didn't know that Jada was a free spirit. He didn't know that she was spiritual. She was those things from the get-go, and he married her anyway. Now, a lot of people,
he probably loved those things.
He probably did love those things, and this is probably exactly what he needed. A woman who was that way inclined, because now, where his journey is at this point, that is exactly who he needs. He didn't need a Will Smith 2.0 in a woman who then wanted to continue to keep up the perfect family persona in the public eye, because then he never would have been able to truly go on his journey and learn who he was as a person outside of Will Smith, the celebrity that we know him as. So a lot of people can't differentiate between the person and the persona, and it's really annoying. And I get it, because a lot of people put celebrities on this, as we're talking about, pedestals to look up to. It's something that gives you hope in life, and I get it. It's kind of, it was false idols, but it is kind of worshipy in a way. And if you see your God not being perfect, you'd be upset too.
I mean, no, because I was
like, what?
No, I agree. I think it's because, I think when you said if you see your God not being perfect, because I did see it from a religious standpoint, and you get that a lot when bad things happen in people's lives. They're like, what is God? Who is a God?
Why?
Do you know what I mean? So it happens a lot.
Yeah.
I wanted to also add what happens when you create a persona that gives you leeway to be a certain way, even if that's probably or potentially not who you are. And I will use the example of Rihanna. She's done a fantastic job at saying, I'm smart enough to know that sometimes people ain't shit.
Yeah.
So you're going to know me as bad girl Riri, which meant that she has been able to navigate so intelligently, navigate her career in a way, but when she does and behaves, and it's not anything, when I say behaves, I don't mean she's wayward in any way. I just mean she can do certain things and automatically she gets that grace and that expectation because of the persona she created as bad girl.
Who else does this amazingly well? Your friend, our fave, Kanye West.
I love Kanye.
Kanye West.
He's fantastic.
We all know that he's a bit. And I mean, I don't think he's crazy, but I think he's fantastic.
He's so intelligent,
so smart. But he's also allowed that. Yeah, he's also allowed that as well. He's also just allowed to say what he wants to say, do what he wants to do, and everyone's just like, yeah, it's just Kanye.
Basically.
So you have an idea of someone, and you're right. Like, you can either do it the way where you want people to think you're perfect, or you want people to think you're crazy. Either way, people still have an expectation.
They still have an expectation. You're still on a pedestal.
Yes, but it's a different type.
Yeah.
So there's also the expectation of being a bad boy. Let's talk about Chris Brown then, because Chris Brown has an expectation that he's constantly doing things wrong. From the time that he did what he did with Rihanna to then what he did with Karuchi to now, like, there's a new allegation. Every couple of years, there's a new allegation.
I don't think that Chris Brown, similarly to Will, didn't want that. I feel like with Chris...
Will did want that though. He did curate the perfect man and family.
I think that he did over time, but if you go back to what we were talking about his upbringing, initially he didn't want that. He understood that actually this is what makes people happy and this is who people expect me to be. And he was a childhood star, which is completely different. I know Rihanna was young when she did come out with, something new replay.
Yeah, they were both young. They were like 16, 17.
Anyway, what I was saying, I don't think that Will and Chris necessarily wanted that. I think, as I said, Rihanna, very smart businesswoman, and Kanye, very smart businessman. I think they had more of a choice. I think it's very different when you catapult into something versus when people tell you who you are.
No, I still don't agree.
You don't think so?
In terms of the difference between Will and Chris, I don't agree, because even though even though Will Smith didn't necessarily, it catapulted him in that sense, he still decided and chose that this was the lane he wanted to stay in, as in the good guy, the good father, the good husband, Chris Brown made a human mistake and a human error, and as a result of that, everybody else decided this is where we're going to put you, and then since then he's been struggling to get out of that box. Do you understand what I mean?
But that's why I think that they're the same, because I think that Will struggled to get outside of that box when he realised this is why people like you and this is why they buy into you.
But he chose to stay there. Chris has not chosen to stay there. He's been trying to get out of that. Whereas for a very long time, remember, this whole thing with Will Smith has only been happening for a couple of years.
But there's a difference between I understand what you're saying, but to me, it's easier choice to stay when someone or the world is painting you as the good guy than wanting to choose to be the bad guy. Yeah. Especially when you're known for abuse. You're not going to want to choose to be an abuser. Do you understand what I mean? It's not, if Will, this was the beginning of his career, with this whole Oscar situation, he wouldn't choose to stay here either.
No, he might. I mean, look at Kanye. Kanye's chosen to stay here.
Because Kanye doesn't care. What is Kanye doing wrong besides
he's offending a lot of people?
Okay, yeah, he's offending a lot of people. But he's offending a lot of people with his mind. It's a difficult thing to then say, my entire being, how do I get out of it? He just thinks how he thinks. Do you know what I mean? It's not the same thing as saying like the perfect husband, the perfect whatever. Yeah.
But the point we're both trying to make is there's a difference between a curated persona of what somebody wants you to see and what they truly actually are. And a lot of people don't. Sometimes a lot of people don't want to see the difference, and they don't care to see the difference. They actually we like being told how to think and feel and exist. And I know some of you are going to be like, no, I have free will. You don't. You don't have much free will, let me just say that. So you like being told this is cool today, these trainers are in, those tops are out, this person is cancelled, that person is not, this religion is good, that one is bad. You like being told these things because then you know where everything is. We like to compartmentalize things and put them in boxes that we understand. That makes sense to us. That makes it feel us. It makes us feel safe. It makes us feel like we're not trying to figure things out on our own because we don't want to. It's a little bit lazy, not gonna lie, but I get it. And so when someone says, like a Will Smith, this is who I am, I'm a good father, I'm a good dad, I have a great career, I'm a funny guy, nice guy, I don't swear in my music, the kids are going to love me. And you're like, okay, great, love it. And then when he finally goes one day, you know what, this is hard work, because this is just performative as F, and I can't do this anymore. And I just want to show people that actually there's no such thing as perfection. And we turn around and go, no, get back in the box. Get back in the box. We didn't ask for this. Life's hard enough as it is. We don't want to see you struggle. We're already struggling out here as is. We want perfect will. We don't want flawed will.
Whoa. We don't do that. Because that's what it is. It's like, we're not supposed to do that. Your job is to X, Y, Z. No. His job actually is to act and rap and whatever else is under his belt. His job isn't to be whoever we've decided he's going to be. And that's why I didn't necessarily agree with when everyone was saying, oh no, but we should take away his Oscar. If he got an Oscar for being the man of the year, then 100% you should take it away.
Or a role model or whatever.
Right.
But it was his performance as an actor.
For the job that he is paid to do. So he should keep his Oscar.
And it's so, you know how fucked up it is that your whole life, you're quote unquote perfect, your whole celebrity career,
and you do one thing.
You do one thing. Are we deep in that this man hasn't done anything else? Really, because it's really been Jada catching all the heat. He hasn't done anything else, and all of a sudden you want to be what the actual F?
Because people like to punish. It's really hard when you play that perfect role. Because people just want to punish you. We went from like, I feel sorry for you, and you should leave her. You deserve the world. And then he does something which. And even this, like honestly, even in this moment, having this conversation, the amount of times that I think I've said like, no, it was a bad thing to do. Or you said, oh, it was a bad thing to do. Whether anyone takes it right or not, I just had a moment where I realised it's actually because it's that knowing that having a certain opinion means that you also have to be very clear that it doesn't negate something else.
Two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah. What he did was good for himself and his journey. What he done was bad because no one
deserves that.
Some people do deserve to get slapped.
They
do. No, they do.
I just don't think Chris Rock deserves.
Chris Rock didn't deserve to be slapped, but he did deserve to have a pulling up. And I don't know if it was you that I was speaking to that I said sometimes. I don't think it was a conscious decision, but I don't know, I'm not in Will's head, but sometimes that's the safest thing that spirit will allow you to do, because with that anger and the years that he must have just had building up, it's better that it happened on stage.
100%. Will's going to do something else again, and Jada's going to do something else again.
And I'm going to do something, and you're going to do something, and all of you guys are going to do something.
We're going to say things you don't like. Get over it.
Or I was just going to say, give the grace to others that you would like to be afforded to yourself. And just remember that we're all human. We're all not going to get it right, but it's the intention that I tend to look at when people in my life do things that I don't particularly like.
Yeah.
And for as long as I know their heart or I can understand their intention and I know it's pure. It has to be pure. Okay, it has to be pure. Okay? But as long as it's pure, it's so much easier for me to be like, okay, you just had a faux pas.
You had a moment, it's fine.
Right. Yeah. So
it's okay. It's okay. It's alright.
Anyway, on that note, bye.